Morning. My mic on? All right. How you guys doing today? Awesome. Let me ask you a question. I want to talk about a couple different things in here today. There you go. I want to talk about a couple different things today. One of them being, how many of you guys in here do property management? 1, 2, 3. Not yet. All right. As you guys know, the market's changing. I believe the market's you're going to see a change in the next 6 to 9 months to where you need to have some different ancillary incomes, whether it's a property management, working with investors. Give you a little bit about myself. I've been doing real estate for 22 years. In 2014, I was making over $1 million a year in sales. I got tired of the hustle. I was doing big REO accounts, doing, 100 BPOs a week. Some of you guys know that kind of stuff. And it was one of those things where I got burned out. I didn't see my kids, didn't see my family. Was drinking literally an entire bottle of hard liquor a day just to get through my days. And I had to learn how to stop cold turkey and figure out who I am. I made all the money. I set my goals, and I made my goals, and I had to figure out who am I? What am I doing here? And come to find out, I actually hated real estate. I hated sales. I hated dealing with buyers. I hated liars. I hated, getting the calls from 6 in the morning till 2 o'clock in the morning. Didn't matter. Whenever I felt every time my phone rang, I had to answer it because that was how I made money. So I started as I was selling these REOs, I was selling them all to investors, and then all the investors would come back to me and say, "Hey, I need a property management company. Who do you guys know?" And I started to look around. I'm like, I don't know anyone that does property management, which kind of gave me an idea. Like, why don't I do property management on the side as I'm selling these houses? So I get into this thing like I'll start to charge people, $50. $50. What the heck is $50, right? But I'm charging these investors $50. Come to find out, after 6 months of selling houses and then getting back money from my investors at $50 a month, I'm making a couple $1,000 a month. But now I'm working 80 hours a day, literally. I'm not sleeping. So one day I woke up, said, no more sales. I'm not doing sales ever again. And that was the day, 2014. I'll never forget, July of 2014. It was the last. I still do sales, but it was the last true sales I ever did, and I got into property management. Today, I manage a little over 2,000 doors. I have a passive income of over $90,000 a month. Guys, if you don't know and don't understand property management, and if you don't want to do property management, there's companies like ours that will come out to wherever you are and help you guys, teach you property management. It connects you with all the investors. It makes a very good living. And you want to talk about VAs? We average most property management companies average anywhere between 4 and 12 VAs. So it's, property management as a whole on the management fees is a losing business. There is no money in that business. But what it does, if you can build up your clientele, we manage, give you an idea, we have a couple thousand doors. Guess who we give anytime anytime an investor wants to sell or buy properties? We reach out to you guys as agents. We give it to you, and we take back a 30% referral fee. So we still don't do real estate sales. We are strictly a property management company. And but if you guys have bigger teams, or as the market changes, you decide that sales isn't exactly what you want to do, check out the property management world, man. It is a very good and lucrative business because it's not the management fees that you make the money, it's the ancillary income that you make the money. How many of you guys work with investors? Everybody? And get with the investors, because as the market starts to change, I don't know if you know this, how many homes does the average investor own? 3 to 5. 3 to 5 is the average home is the average amount of homes that every investor in the United States has. With that being said, how many referrals, if you're educating and selling to your investors, how many referrals do you think each investor refers? That number's 5 to 7. So do the quick math on that over a 3 to 5 year period. I mean, you can make a really good living just off of investors. And think about that. Investors know what they want for the most part, right? Home buyers, they don't know what they want. They just want a house. They just want a place to put their kids, their family. And you're running around writing 15, 20 offers. An investor comes in, they're usually either cash or creative financing because, if they have several homes or several loans, they're no longer using conventional financing. Anyone in here do creative financing? Educate yourself on that, guys. It is absolutely amazing. There's so many programs out there. Hard money, syndications. I know I might be talking a little bit heavy. Anyone into syndications? Okay. Syndications are absolutely amazing. They work. I think you can have some syndications up to 35 people, and they can buy developments. They can buy blocks of homes. You're seeing, I don't know if any of you guys know, there are foreclosures going on right now. You know who's getting those foreclosures? Not you guys. Institutional buyers are getting them. Find out who the institutional buyers in your area, meet with them. Okay? They're doing big business. At the end of last year, I personally closed a deal for $75 million on 200 doors on an institutional buyer. It took me 60 days. Guess who I had to talk to? Just the investor. I didn't have to show them 200 houses. They literally come in, block. I had my VAs do all the comps on it, send them out to the we did the comps, we did the rental analysis, sent it back to the investor. 60 days, I had over $1 million sitting in my bank account. It works. It works, man. I know a lot of you, like I said, you guys work with individuals, but think outside that box because there's a lot of money to be made in the property management and the investor, and that all comes full circle. How many of you guys do HOAs? Anyone here do HOAs? Anyone live in an HOA? But none of you guys do HOAs. You guys go to HOA meetings? No? Average house in an HOA? 200 houses in an HOA? Man, get on the board of your HOA. Get on the board, get that mailing list, mail every single person in your HOA every single month. You're going to be having sales. Know who your people are. Those are your neighbors. You guys spend lots of money on Zillow ads, marketing ads. You have it right in your neighborhood. It's in your HOA. 80% of homes built across the United States are built within an HOA. That's a number. HOA management. Anyone look at that? No? Penny game? It's amazing. HOA management, we don't do it. We're actually getting ready to get into it. But every single house, if you have the average of 200 doors in an HOA and you're making $10 a door, doesn't sound like a lot of money. But if you have the ancillary businesses, you own the landscape company or the maintenance company or something like that, there's a lot of money to be made. Not only that, but if you have a sales team, now you're feeding your sales team. If you're managing, let's just say you've managed 5 HOAs and they have 200, there's 1,000 doors, you're feeding your sales team 1,000 leads every single month of people that are coming and going. Make sense? Point is that there's a lot of ancillary business outside of just sales. I did sales for 14 years before I ever got into or learned about the property management or HOA side or any of the ancillary income of it. It's definitely been a game changer for me, and I think that as the market turns, you guys will find because there will be some of you guys that don't survive as the market changes. I don't think it's going to change this year to say, but I think towards the end of this year, next year, depending on what happens, what kind of creative financing the government comes up with as far as inflation and rates and things of that nature. But just be prepared, be prepared. It's a hard business, and I want to see all of you guys succeed on this. How many of you guys are from California? From California? San Diego specifically? All right, so you're probably aware of short-term rentals, right? And this is happening because of the shortage. San Diego's actually putting in a measure to not allow anybody to run short-term rentals. They're going to actually ban all short-term rentals in San Diego. Think about that. And San Diego's a very conservative. It's a conservative county. Now, once that passes, I mean, the ripple effect that's going to have across the nation is going to be absolutely amazing, in my opinion. I mean, people need to really understand the consequences of the power of the vote and the elected officials that you guys have within the areas that you live in, because that stuff's real. For us, I don't know. We don't do short-term rentals, so I'm not exactly sure. And we're not in the San Diego area. I was just speaking at a conference in Vegas right before I came to this one, and they were talking real heavily about it. I was talking to some of the guys down there. We are in California. We're actually in Los Angeles, but they were talking about how it's going to destroy a lot of the businesses because even the hotels are backing it for obvious reasons, you know. So, but I mean, it's a thing. Educate yourself on that stuff because there's a lot of things. Anyone get involved in politics, regardless of what side of the aisle you're on? Do it. You guys absolutely need to be involved in politics. You know, I don't want to come up here and preach politics, but your future and your clients depend on you knowing what's going on, especially if you're working with investors. You know, you need to know. You sold an investor a short-term property down in San Diego and was like, dude, you're going to make, $10,000 on your ROI. And all of a sudden, 6 months later, he gets a letter saying he's not allowed to do any short-term, sales. Guess who's in court? You are. You're the guy that gives them all the information. They look up to you for your expertise. So you're the expert in those fields. So, anyone have any questions? No. So we actually find them through different conferences. I'm in a conference. There's one in Miami, I think, this next week. You can also do it online. Being in California, we get a lot. We see a lot more because they're in the San Francisco area. There's a lot of them coming out of the San Francisco area. You can Google them, but there's different conferences and things like that where you can go out there and meet them. And they're big. They're big buyers. I mean, Blackstone. Trying to think, House Point, Invitation Homes, those are all big institutional buyers. They manage, I don't know if you guys are aware, but the home builders are actually getting into the rental management business. If you're not sure, they're actually building houses and tracts across the nation and holding on to them. Lennar, the KB, they're all doing it, guys. I mean, and before you know it, it's kind of the new future. Only if it's written into it. So each HOA they write their own terms. They write their own CC&Rs. So it just depends on what's into it. Second. Correct. That's right. These guys can build any HOA. They write their own CC&Rs, and they write them to however they want. I mean, if they want only blue houses, live in a neighborhood only blue houses. But if they don't want rentals, they don't have rentals. But these builders are definitely spending billions, and that's with a B, billions of dollars in building houses specifically for rentals. And they don't want to manage it themselves. They actually have. In California, it's interesting because a builder's on the hook for 10 years. I don't know what it is for the rest of the United States. But for the first 10 years, in my opinion, it's actually one of the smartest things that they do. They're on the hook for structural warranty on the house. And if say a Lennar KB comes in, builds a tract of a couple hundred doors, they rent it out, and we're getting anywhere from $3,000 to $4,000 a month in rents. If they rent that out for 10 years, they've actually covered the entire cost of their build, made money, and in 10 years they can sell that property and double, if not triple, their money. So it's a real deal. Get it? I mean, look at the ancillary income. Look at your options. Don't be pigeonholed into just sales and buyers and sellers of single-family residence. There's a lot more money to be made out there. Yes. I think the best way to get into property management would be to either there's it's called the National Association of Property Managers. So it's kind of like a car or apartment association. You can look into there. They're all over. They're in every state. And there's property management companies associated with them. You probably want to try to get yourself in with a bigger one versus like a mom and pop, because mom and pop ones are, they may not always have the best processes to say. That would be my suggestion. But I mean, look around. Everybody's doing rentals. There's more rentals than there are sales at this point in the game. Any other questions? Yes. We do have a training program. Yeah, and I can get with you guys afterwards on that, and we can set you up on a training program. It's pretty intense and very, very thorough. We use Monday.com. We use a lot of processes. We use a lot of technology, guys. We actually are in the process of taking every single position that's not a sales position into a VA. So I think by the end of this year we'll have 26 employees, and out of those 26 employees, we'll have 26 property managers, and we'll have over 40 VAs running everything at anywhere from $3 to $5 an hour. So in California, I have to pay my minimum employee is a $60,000 an hour position. Minimum. That's their base salary. In California is because that's what they tell me I have to pay. No, but to compete in my market, my average property manager makes over $100,000 a year. Yeah. So that's my average. I have some that make 150, 160. She had one first. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, they are heavily searching. They're heavily searching because the hotel industry obviously is fighting. Hotel industry fights the Airbnb industry all day long. They're going after each other. Hotel industry is very, very big, and the housing shortage is really affecting the short-term rental market because investors are buying houses for short-term rentals because they're making a ton of money. I mean, the ROI on an STR it's silly. I mean, I own some, and I mean it's the best ROI that other than two apartment complexes I own actually here in Texas that I haven't seen since 2008. That thing prints money out here. But short-term rentals, I mean, they're going to crack down on it, and that's what they're doing. They're going to search everything and crack down on it. I had one somewhere. All right. Yeah, actually, a funny story is if you live in California, you understand that when COVID started 2 years ago, they came up with something called SB 91, which is kind of the Bible of people not having to pay rent. It was an amazing process. CAR, which is the Association of Realtors, you'd expect CAR and NAR to really step up and help write processes and lay out the design of how this COVID situation was going to flow. The Apartment Association is actually the one that wrote SB 91. CAR stepped back and had absolutely zero say in it whatsoever. So we do work with them. They are the big elephant. They actually work specifically with institutional buyers for the most part and big investors. So SB 91 was a big win for them because at the end, they all got their money back. They allowed their tenants to stay in the house rent-free for a year and a half, almost 2 years. In LA County, tenants still do not have to pay rent to this day, and I cannot evict you out of your house. So we cannot evict you until the end of this year if that doesn't get extended by our lovely Board of Supervisors. So, yeah, so the Apartment Association is definitely a big player in the game. Yes? So if it were me, I would actually go to HR in all those hospitals and let them know, like, hey, explain to them who you are and let them know you want to help them, because I can tell you that all employees, we do a lot with, like Lockheed Martin, Northrop. We love hospitals. We love aerospace, right? So we actually try to be in the areas of military bases, Northrop, Lockheed, any of your big employers that tend to have a lot of traveling employees. That's kind of your bread and butter. And I would go to the HR department and let them know that you're there to help them and help them find housing for their employees. That would be a very good start. Absolutely. And one of the good things about that, AHRN, I don't know if you guys are familiar with AHRN, it's actually military. She was saying that she was saying that she contacts the HR department for what department was it? Travel agencies, nursing agencies. Yeah, AYA, which moves the nurses around. But AHRN is in the military side. So if any of you guys live near military bases, AHRN is a great spot. One of the things I want to go back to kind of if anyone lives in an area where they have like a Northrop or a Lockheed Martin or traveling nurses, these nurses and stuff, they travel a lot. Well, what happens is a lot of times they travel because they want to just check the world and, meet people. A lot of times they settle down in an area. Once they settle down, now they're going to go from a renter to a buyer, right? And you already have that in your pocket. So you already know what they have, where they want to live. If they have kids, you know what schools their kids go to, what areas they want to go to. I mean, it's the golden egg, man. Property management is definitely the golden egg in real estate. Yes. Mhm. Yep. Great question. So she's asking about ADUs and accessory dwelling units. In California, I don't know about the rest, but one of the things they've done to combat the housing shortage is allow homeowners to build ADUs. If you if you don't know what an ADU is, it's basically you can put a dwelling on your house, or in most cases, it's people garage conversions. Garage conversions, and yes, we see a lot of it. Unfortunately. Yeah, absolutely. No, we see it. We see it everywhere. I mean, the state has gone and allowed people to deregulate what they're allowed to do, always including easement setbacks. In California, we have a 5-7 rule: 5 feet on one side, 7 on the other, that you have to have, and they've allowed that to even kind of go away, to where these ADUs are making money. I don't think that part will be outlawed necessarily, because those are primarily long term. We actually rent a lot of ADUs, so we rent a lot of times where someone will live in a house and they'll rent their back unit or their garage, and I mean there's a lot of money in it. They spend $15,000-$25,000 to renovate their garage into a house, and they're making $1,200 to $2,000 a month for it. So I mean it's a great investment. Yes. Correct. Yeah, and I mean that whole thing. I mean, I think it's going to be convoluted here shortly as it starts to spread. But just be prepared as real estate agents. Be prepared on the laws and get involved on what's going on. Yes. That's awesome. I don't know if you guys heard that, but she said the most economical way to do an ADU is tough shed. I personally haven't thought about that. We do see a lot of tough shed, and I think those things are pretty awesome. But another way to add to your ancillary income, guys, if you have the ability to do an ADU, do an ADU. I mean, it's especially if you have it on a rental property. I don't know that I'd want one in my backyard, to where I have some stranger coming to my house with my kids and all that. But if you have rental properties and you can add an ADU, man, I would add an ADU, because at least in our areas that we manage properties, those things bring in anywhere from, like I said, $1,200 to $2,000 a month for an ADU. Yeah, one more question, guys. Anyone? Nope. Yes. I'll be around till, I think, 12, 1, 2, 3. Just reach out to me, and I'll talk with you guys. Okay? All right, guys. Thank you, guys. Have a great day.